This whole semester, we've been talking about how you can only use trigonometry if you have a right triangle. And that's actually a lie, because you can use trigonometry if you don't have a right triangle. So here I have two different triangles. I have an acute triangle and an obtuse triangle. Now, one of the things I need to point out is when you have a triangle, you have your angle labeled. Notice all my angles are these capital letters. And so angles are always labeled with capital letters, and the sides are labeled with lowercase letters, and the side is always going to be opposite the angle. So if this is angle A, then the side A is opposite it. So we would call this little a. And then this would be little b, and this would be side C. And same thing over here, side A, side C, side B. Okay, so that's how you label those. Now, the law of signs says if you know three things, you can find a fourth thing. For example, well, here's just how it goes. Okay, so with the law of signs, you say that sine of A over side A is going to be equal as the sine of B over side B is going to be equal to the sine of C over side C. So basically what you're doing in this whole thing is you're going to set up a proportion. Okay, and you pick what you know and figure out what you don't know. You can also do it the other way around, where side A is on top and sine of A is on bottom, and then side B on top, sine of B on bottom, and side C on top, sine of C on bottom. It doesn't matter which one's top and bottom as long as you keep it the same throughout the entire proportion. Okay, so the other thing here, you have a height. Okay, so you're going to have a height, whatever that is. And that actually comes into play after a little bit. You'll see on your formula sheet that it talks about the height in there, and there's a reason for that. Okay, so let's look at an example here. So we have a triangle, and it tells us that one of the angles is 102, which means this is an obtuse triangle. So I'm going to draw an obtuse triangle. You always want to have a drawing to be able to label things with. So C is 102.3 degrees. And then B is 28.7 degrees. And side B, which would be across from B, so B equals 27.4 feet. Okay, so we're supposed to find what's left. For example, we need to find A, angle A. Well, that's going to be actually pretty easy because I already know two of my angles. Remember, all the angles add up to 180. So I take 102.3 and I add 28.7. And when I add those together, I can probably do this in my head, but I want to make sure I don't make a mistake. So when I add those together, I get 131. And now I need to take 180 minus 131, and I find that my angle over here is 49 degrees. Okay, now I got to find the other sides. Let's say, for instance, I need to find side C. So I'm going to set up a proportion. I know the angle C, so I'm going to say sine of 102.3 degrees, that's angle C, that's going to be over side C. The other things I know are the B's, so I'm going to say sine of the B value, 28.7 degrees, over the side length B, which is 27.4. Okay, so I know those three things. So notice when I said something, if you know three things, you can find a fourth. So I know angle C, I know angle B, and I know side B. So now I can find side C. And now it's just a matter of multiply and divide, right? So we multiply and divide. So we take 27.4, make sure your calculator's in degrees. I haven't done that, I should make sure. Okay, yep, I'm good. So 27.4 times the sine of 102.3, okay, and then I take that and divide it by the sine of 28.7, and I get that C is 55.7. All right, so then I can say C is 55.7, and that looks pretty good to me because I'm comparing it to other things, and if my angle C is the biggest angle, then my side C should be the biggest side, which is already bigger than B, so that's a good sign. Okay, we still have to find A, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go through and set up a, what do you call it, a proportion. So sine of 102.3 degrees over side C, we just found out is 55.7, equals the sine of A is 49 degrees, A is 49 degrees over side A. And so then we're going to, let's see, we're going to cross multiply and divide. So we just go sine of 49 times 55.7, and we divide that by the sine of 102.3, and I get that A is 43.02, and so side A equals 43.02. All right, and so now I have all three sides. I have all three sides. I have all three angles, and I'm good. And if you compare again the size of the angle versus the size of the side, you want to make sure that they match up as far as proportionally. So the bigger the angle, the bigger the side, because they're proportional. Okay, so you don't want to round too much. Be careful about that, because if you round too much, you're going to be off. But otherwise, that's pretty much the basics of the law of sines. Now, and you'll get word problems. So, for example, we have this word problem that you have. It's on page 267. So you'll want to read that before you continue on with this video. But you have a pole that tilts toward the sun. So I have a sun over here, and I have a pole that tilts towards it. So it's not 90-degree angles. It's in an 8-degree angle. So what that's saying is if I go from the vertical, this is 8 degrees, which means this whole thing is 98 degrees, right? And then I can draw an angle or a side from the tip of the thing to out here on the end, and it said that it has a shadow, because that's how the sun works, is it goes, it projects the sun here, and it makes a shadow that would be a straight line from there to there, and the shadow is, it says, 22 feet. And we're supposed to find the height of the pole. Okay, so let's see here. It must have said also in there, I don't have it in front of me, but it must have also said that the angle of elevation is 43 degrees, right? So I know two angles. I know this angle right here, and I know this angle right here. And the question is, do I need this angle? Well, I do, because I have this side and this side, and if I want to find this side, I'm going to have to use this side, and then I need the angle that goes with it so I can set up my proportion. So I take 180 minus the 98 minus the 43, and I get 39 degrees. So then that means this is 39 degrees. So I set it up. Sine of 39 degrees over 22 equals the sine of, let's see, what's opposite the x? If I look what's opposite the x, it's 43. So I set up the sine of 43 degrees over x, right? And we go ahead and we multiply, cross multiply, and divide, and you're going to find that the height of the length of the pole is about 23.84 feet. If you don't round too much, you can get that pretty dead center on that. So that's how you're going to do a picture or a word problem, and you just have to make sure you get the picture right. That's the biggest part, is getting that picture set up. And so that, my dears, is the law of sines. Good luck.